Developing story out of the NBA. The league is looking into Kyrie Irving.
He has missed the Nets' last 3 games due to personal reasons. He is not expected back with the Nets at any point this week.
They're reviewing videos that are circulating on social media of Kyrie without a mask at what appears to be a family birthday party and a potential violation of the league's COVID protocols.
If he is found to have violated the league's health and safety protocols, he could be facing an additional amount of quarantine time.
There's not going to be a lot of empathy from the league. The Nets' expectation is Kyrie Irving has to come back and explain to them, to his teammates, to the public, exactly his reasons for going.
If you need time off, then go get it. But right now, it's just a bad look.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, time for the latest in the Kyrie Irving soap opera. Let's break it down. Kyrie has been absent for 4 games now, not expected to be back in the lineup through the rest of this week. There was the going maskless at a family's birthday party. There also was a Zoom call last night. And, we had to bring in Kendrick Perkins to get his thoughts on this whole shebang. But, Stephen A., we're going to start with you here because you had a lot to say earlier on in the show. Do you think Kyrie is worth all of this drama?
I do not. And I'm not talking about him as a talent, because I think he's a superstar caliber talent. But Kendrick Perkins, just so you know, because you weren't here at the top of the show, I'm going to reiterate what I said in front of you at the top of the show, KP. I think Kyrie Irving should retire. Retire. Period. You don't want to play basketball. What the hell are you here for? I mean, the bottom line is that you are paid to play the game of basketball. And this is what people is missing, KP and Max. Here's what people are missing. Yeah, you're taking time off. Yeah, you might be docked some pay. But guess what, y'all? If I'm getting paid $33.4 million for this season, right, I might deduce that if I take off the next 5 or 10 games, right, then what that means is that, okay, I might lose some pay, but I'm going to still pocket about $25 million for the rest of the season. So it's almost like a vacation for you because you're taking time off, and even though you ain't getting paid, you can afford it. So it doesn't mean anything to you. You see what I'm saying? So that money that you're guaranteed, at least a chunk of it, is still going to be there for you. Meanwhile, you've said to the Brooklyn Nets, listen, y'all are not a priority. You said to your boy, Kevin Durant, you're not a priority. You said to Steve Nash, a coach you endorsed arriving, you're not a priority. You said to Sean Marks, who gave you 4 years, $141 million, all right? Then you showed up and only played 20 games. Kyrie Irving, until this season began, had not played since February 1st of last year. February 1st. And then he was out in there participating in the bubble. Remember, the season was canceled March. He hurt his shoulder. He was out. So you didn't play since February 1st. You're off until the following December. And somehow, some way, you need time off because you've got personal issues. You have a job. You have teammates that are dependent on you. You got Brooklyn, New York that's starving to see you. You got championship aspirations. Kevin Durant is fresh off of playing, having missed 18 months because of an Achilles tear in the finals. And he comes back a year and a half later, and he giving you 29 a game on 53% shooting, 44% from three-point range. But could use your help because when you're not there, it puts more of the onus on him to replicate things like what he did last night against Denver and closing them out with a 34-point performance and closing the deal against them. But it puts more on him. It doesn't matter to you. And why? Because of what's going on here in the streets of America and in the world. We respect where you're coming from with that because we know your heart's in the right place, Kyrie. I ain't trying to slip on that, throw shade on that by any stretch of the imagination. But what you're doing is clearly selfish and it's entitled because you don't, you're going to have a job waiting for you whenever you in the mood to come back. You got that kind of mentality, it's time to go. I believe that Kyrie Irving should retire from the game of basketball until he's ready to come back and make it the priority he's paid to make it. Until then, he should retire, KP.
Let me say this. First, because he's taking the time off for personal reasons, Kyrie, I hope you're okay. I hope your family's okay. I hope your loved ones are okay. And whatever personal reasons, you get straightened out. That's the first thing. As a human being, I hope he's all right. And the people he loves are all right, you know? Second, the super talented don't always play by the same rules as everyone else. If Dennis Rodman missed the team bus or went to Vegas in between games, he'd get away with it because he grabbed 17 boards and helped you win championships. The Chicago Bulls years I'm talking about. Kyrie is a super talented player who puts on a show on a nightly basis. And so he has some leverage here. Because the fact is, particularly with Dinwiddie's injury, that even if Dinwiddie was healthy, this Brooklyn Nets team ain't winning a championship without Kyrie. Now, they might not win one with him either, and that might be his fault. Because you guys were telling me the whole time KD is still going to be just fine and da-da-da-da-da. And I was cautious. I wanted to see, but I've seen. KD is spectacular. He looks like KD to me. He had something like 12 dimes yesterday. Like his passing game in the last several years of activity has been getting better and better. He's just the complete package. But KD can't do it by himself. And by the way, he has a nice supporting cast, LeVert and Allen and these guys. They ain't going to win no championship without Kyrie Irving. What it really comes down to is Kyrie going to be the dude who made the Celtics worse and then the Nets worse over the last couple of years? Or is he going to be the dude who, when he's clearly not the best player on a team, when there's another dude as talented as him but a foot taller, like LeBron or KD, so he has to recognize, okay, I have to defer to that guy. When he's the second banana, can he help KD win a championship the way he helped LeBron? That's the question right now. But he has some leverage because, guys, if they don't bring him along, if they can't get him back into the fold, this Nets season could be successful, but they ain't going to challenge for a title.
Well, I say this, Stephen A. Max, look, both of y'all have valid and great points, and I can't disagree with either one of you guys' points, but I will say this, right? When you look at the situation with Kyrie and what he's doing right now, I was the first to react and tweet out and said, you know what we're going through in America right now, I support Kyrie 100%. I support any player that feel like they don't want to play or don't want to step on the court for a couple of games. Okay, cool. If that was the reason. But now, since things have transpired, I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, is Kyrie worth the drama? Hell no. And if I'm the Brooklyn Nets, I'm calling up the Houston Rockets today, trying to trade him for James Harden. Because here's the deal. It messes up the chemistry. It messes up the flow. Steve Nash didn't even know he wasn't playing the night he decided not to the first game. That's a distraction to the ball club. That is a problem. And who's to say he's not going to do it again? Whenever Kyrie don't feel like playing, he's just not going to show up and not going to text anybody or call anybody back. That's not the way to go. But on a further note, here's the problem that I have. We're dealing with a pandemic. People in the world are starving for jobs. If you have a job, you are in a great situation and you ought to be thanking God because you're blessed. Here it is. Kyrie has a job. He has a job that is paying him close to $35 million a year, and you're not showing up to work. They have people losing money, cannot pay their rent. And then on top of that, you are the vice president of the Players Association, the vice president. And when I came on here a few months ago before the pandemic, when Kyrie was talking about, when they was thinking about doing the bubble, and he was saying, oh, I don't want to go to the bubble, and we should not play, and this, that, and the other. And I said, the blind is leading the blind, and this is why. You're at a family gathering party with no mask, diddy bopping, like it's nothing wrong with it. While the league is trying to figure out ways to keep guys healthy, to be able to have enough guys to play games, while not to have to postpone games, and you're just being selfish. So if I'm the Brooklyn Nets, I'm getting off of Kyrie ASAP, and it's not worth the drama. Because you need someone that's going to come in and at least know that he's committed to playing the game of basketball. And I know James Harden is being a distraction in Houston. I get that. But he wants out. The brother wants out. And he wants to come to the Brooklyn Nets. We all know this. So I'm saying, looking at last
Philly
night,
now.
looking at the Houston Rockets, well, Philly too. Philly too. But I'm saying, if I'm the Brooklyn Nets, I'm calling about getting rid of Kyrie, and that's just period, point blank.
Well, let me say this to you. It's Philly more so than Brooklyn now, KP. I found that out about 2 hours ago because of the Kyrie situation in Brooklyn. That's why James Harden would prefer Philly over Brooklyn right now. That's number one. Number two, I was talking to a couple of folks, a couple of high-ranking officials this morning, Max and KP, along with at least one owner and at least a couple of big-time agents. And they all echoed the same thing that somebody just texted me a little while ago. It says here, Kyrie might be close to ending his career because dealing with him is entirely too risky. He can't be trusted. They went on to say, nobody's bigger than the game. The train will head to the next station. And the Brooklyn Nets may have grounds to terminate his contract if he keeps this up, period. Now, I want y'all to take that into consideration.
Wow.
The Brooklyn Nets could potentially terminate his contract because he's taken personal reasons. He hasn't articulated and elocuted what those personal reasons are. We've seen him on video and in photos violating league safety and protocols, therefore endangering the brand. He's come across as incredibly selfish and obviously really, really about himself and what he's thinking. He's been on the record calling folks peons, okay, because he's of a higher plane and a higher thinking than most of us. So in other words, where he's coming from and where his intellectual capacity is, Max, and what he's thinking about and what's permeating his thoughts and his mind, it's so far above us right now. We can't really see the plane he's floating on. Meanwhile, he's in the midst of getting paid $33.4 million. It doesn't work. You got to give up something. So the challenge here is to say, Kyrie, and again, he doesn't have to give up his thoughts on the personal issues he wants to address or the issues that permeate our society. We should applaud him for that. All we're saying is you got to show up to work too, like everybody else does. You can't sit up there and skip your responsibilities in order to address the concerns. You have to find a way to do both. And if you can't do both, I think we'd all respect Kyrie Irving if he sat up there and said, you know what? That would be selfish of me to sit up here and collect money from Brooklyn while I don't want to play. So, you know what? So I'm going to pass it up. I'll just retire from the game of basketball and I'll dedicate at least my immediate future, if not my life, to these issues that are so near and dear to my heart. He's not doing that. He's trying to get the money too.
Let me say this, Stephen A. I would implore Kyrie, and I know he talks about how smart he is, and you've told me, and many people have told me how smart Kyrie Irving is.
He's not dumb.
I have yet to see evidence of it when he opens his mouth. However, maybe it is true, but I agree his heart seems to be in the right place. Let me say this to Kyrie Irving. I would implore him to not do what you're suggesting, Stephen A., because I don't care how talented you are, and he's extremely talented. Skill and talent are different. Skill you must acquire. Skill takes years of practice and dedication, and you have to have passion to acquire the kind of skills that Kyrie's obviously spent a lifetime acquiring in basketball. I would urge you, Kyrie, not to throw that away, because you put in clearly too much work. And forget about just the economic benefits, the $30+ million a year. The fact is it provides a platform. If you're interested in making real change, it helps you do that. And finally, guys, the physical prime is fleeting. You have the rest of your life, not to say you can't also pursue that now, but the rest of your life to do everything else you want. This is the only time you have to do the thing that you've put in so many hours and such a huge percentage of your life building to this point. I would urge him, Stephen A., not to throw that away.
Yeah, I think we're all hoping that Kyrie can get it together in whatever way he needs to in order for Stephen A., like you just mentioned, his career to not come to an end. But let's talk about another guy who is ready for the next stop in his career that would be James Harden. Now, he made it very public last night that he's ready to leave Houston. He was talking about the game last night. It was another consecutive blowout loss by the Rockets, this time to the Lakers. The Rockets now 3-6. Only the Timberwolves worse than them in the West, and James Harden went in on the team's play after the game. Listen.
We're just not good enough. We don't obviously chemistry, talent-wise, just everything. And it was clear, like I said, these last few games, they just, from the beginning of the game, they were just aggressive. Veteran team, obviously, championship team, and one of the best teams that we have in this league. I love this city. I literally, have done everything that I can. This situation is crazy. It's something that I don't think can be fixed. So, thanks.
Max, how does this make Harden look?
Makes him look bad right now. First of all, how are you showing up fat in the NBA? I don't understand. You're not a center or something like that. You're a combo backcourt player with you're dribbling all day and running up and down the floor, and improved defender. How are you, even if you play basketball on a daily basis in a rec league, it's hard to be fat. That's impressive, as a matter of fact. That's number one. Number two, guys, he looks bad because even John Wall's coming out after that and saying, you're bailing after 9 games? We need everyone to, pulling in the same direction. Everyone knows Harden doesn't want to be there. Here's the problem. Here's the problem, guys. And Stephen A., you brought up Dwight Howard earlier, and I brought up Westbrook and Chris Paul. Harden thinks he wants to play with guys, and then after a year, the other guy's even if he has a good relationship with them, like Westbrook does, I don't want to play with this dude anymore. This has happened time and again with Harden. So if you're another team looking at Harden, seeing he's a superstar, right? He plays on superstar level. You're thinking, do I want to mortgage the future to get this guy in here now? What if in a year or two, whoever we have here that makes this an attractive destination for him says, I don't want to play with that guy anymore? Now, it'd be one thing if I understand rolling the dice on that, if Harden was the type of dude who came through under pressure, like Game 7 against Golden State. Only reason they got that far because they were an undermanned team, even before Chris Paul got hurt. They got to a Game 7 against the KD, Clay, Steph, Dre Golden State Warriors. Won 73 games, added KD. Nothing could stand in their way. But they played a Game 7 in Houston, and Houston went 0 for 27. 0 for 27 from 3 at one point. Still only lost by single digits. If Harden was the type of cat who got hot that night and got him past Golden State, then maybe some of these teams would be like, and the dude is clutch. He's going to deliver us a championship. Let's grab him. But they don't feel that way. And what you're seeing is teams unwilling to give the Rockets superstar compensation for Harden. So right now, what Harden looks like is a non-superstar on the trade market.
Max, I respect your opinions, and I don't disagree with you, but you're giving me your opinion. I'm trying to give you some information. I've been on the phone all morning. Here's what they're saying about Harden. He's given 50% effort. He's taken about 35% of the shots he normally takes. And because of that, his teammates, he's not getting along with them because he's made it very, very clear to them that he does not believe in them and that he doesn't want to play with them and he doesn't want to be there. He's considered somebody that's being good to the city of Houston because he loves H-Town. He's not being truculent with the organization per se or with ownership, but because of how he has reacted to his players, to the team, to the teammates, they don't appreciate it. And as of right now, they're pretty much done with him because they know he's done with them. As a result, Max, from what I'm being told, the Houston Rockets are strongly considering granting James Harden his request to let him sit out and not be with the team anymore until they're able to move him. They haven't made that decision yet. Maybe they have made it within the hour, or maybe they'll make it sometime today or tomorrow. But the situation has regressed to such a degree that as of right now, the Houston Rockets are contemplating as to whether or not they're going to let James Harden just stay home until they find a suitable trade in order to move him out of there. I think it's sad. I don't think he's handled this right. He's still averaging 24 and 10 on 44% shooting. He's still doing, I mean, that's only shooting 16 shots a game to show you how lethal he is. But I think it's a damn shame that Steven Silas, who waited 20 years as an African-American assistant in the NBA to get this opportunity, to be subjected to this. I don't think that makes James Harden look good in a lot of people's eyes. But I'm not going to completely absolve the Houston Rockets from this in this regard. They kind of created a culture. Mike D'Antoni is gone. That's his guy. Daryl Morey is gone. That's his guy. You should have moved him out too. They didn't. He desperately wants out. And as a result, being a little bit overweight, taking 35% of his shots, giving 50% effort, although we all find that inexcusable, we also find it relatively predictable when a star tells you he wants the hell up out of there. And he told you before the season even began, and you did not grant him his wish. Again, I'm not absolving KP, James Harden, in any way. I'm just simply highlighting the situation for what it is right now. He wants to go to Philly. That would be his number one preference. Brooklyn would be number two, but the reason why Brooklyn isn't number one because Kyrie is causing problems up in Brooklyn. So Philly's his number one destination right now, his preference. That's where we are.
Well, I tell you one thing. Look, if I'm James Harden and I'm the Houston Rockets, right now they have no choice. Because what he did yesterday, they have no choice but to send him home and let him stay home.
Yeah,
That's not a good thing for James Harden. That's not a good thing for James Harden because he might come back looking like me, all right? But that's the first thing. Second thing is, he's bogus as hell, Stephen A. And he's not bogus for asking for a trade. He's not bogus for wanting to go compete for a title. Or he's not bogus for saying, you know, his time is up. He don't really want to be here in H-Town right now. I get that. But the number one rule, the number one locker room rule is you can never throw your teammates under the bus. And that's exactly what he did last night. And with him going to the podium and saying, we're not good enough, that's disrespectful to John Wall. That's disrespectful to Christian Woods. That's disrespectful to Eric Gordon. That's disrespectful
PJ
to
Tucker,
to House, to PJ
Marcus
Tucker,
Cousins,
to everybody.
Yeah.
That's basically saying I'm playing with a bunch of scrubs, and I'm not saying it to that nature because I think each and every one of those guys could play their tails off. You know, and they was playing inspired basketball before James Harden got back. So now you can't walk up into the locker room now because guys are giving you the side eye. These are still grown men at the end of the day that's not going to tolerate disrespect. And some things could transpire in that locker room that you don't want to transpire. We all know how Boogie get down. You know he's a guy that's going to speak his mind and you know a fight go with it. So the best decision right now is to grant James Harden his wish and get him up out of Houston, but let him stay home. It's not good for James Harden because, like I said, he's going to come back looking like me, but it's cool.
He'd have to lose weight to look like you right now, Perk. This is why I told you guys over the last month, Harden had the leverage. This is what a superstar can do. He looks bad right now. There's no way to do it without looking bad. He looks bad right now, but he looks bad because the Rockets are not being offered superstar compensation for him. Remember when I told Fertitta directly I was sent open letter to Tillman Fertitta. You have to trade him now. You have to let everybody know we're trading him. Come with your best offer. We're not negotiating. We're going to take the best offer. That would have gotten Fertitta maximum value, optimal value for James Harden. The longer you wait, the worse it's going to be. He becomes an increasingly distressed asset. This is what I'm talking about, guys. When a superstar tells a team, I don't want to play here anymore, the best thing they can do is pull the trigger on a deal. Because if he does what Harden's doing now, they're going to wind up getting less for him than they would have gotten.
I will say this real quickly. Christian Woods is no scrub. He's giving you 22 a night. I think John Wall has looked better than I thought he would look. He's averaging 18 and 5 a game.
Yep.
John Wall, and he's only going to get better. John Wall is no scrub. John Wall can ball. And listen, Boogie is there. P.J. Tucker, Eric Gordon, and those boys are still there. He doesn't have a scrub team. But again, we know he's mishandling this. We know why. And KP, you're absolutely right. You can't throw your teammates under the bus like that. Can't do it. But he's doing it to force his way out. He's doing it to force the situation.
And I get that, but Max, listen, not all the time you have to grant a team has to do what the superstar says if they want out. We just watch Anthony Davis do the same thing, and the New Orleans Pelicans held out until they got everything back that they wanted. And Zion Williamson, the #1 pick, Brandon Ingram. So that's not true. And guess what? The Houston Rockets is still go get a Ben Simmons or maybe a Kyrie Irving back in the deal.
No Kyrie Irving.
Not losing.
No Kyrie Irving. Nobody's trusting him right now.
Well,
Yeah.
No, they won't.
All right, guys, yeah, the whole
Kyrie.
situation is pretty crazy. It's pretty messed up, too, but let's end the show on a positive note,
AD
because did
wound
you
up just
see
where he
what
wanted to be.
LeBron James did last night? He had 26 points, highlighted by this shot right here. No look, three-pointer from the corner. It looked good.